Okay. Hello, my friends. Welcome to our Thursday night locals, and I guess it's ex-subscribers as well. Call-in special we do once a week. Get a chance to hear what you guys are up to. Want to know what you guys are thinking about, what you guys are involved in. Kind of a chance for me to get to know who the audience is on the other side. You guys get like an hour every day to hear what kind of crazy stuff goes on in my head. I like to hear what kind of crazy stuff is going on in your head so we can line up our crazy. I am fresh in from doing some moving work, so no black t-shirt. I actually found this shirt in a box of stuff that I was going through. Isn't that the worst? When you're doing moving and you realize that it's 100% inventory and accountability of all your crap because you're going to physically have to empty it out of one space and putting it into another. Anyhow, we're doing a crosstown move. That's what's happening right now for the Seraphin family. The phone number is available on Locals. If you are on Locals right now, you can click through and see it. You got to be a paid subscriber to be it. That's one of the benefits of being a subscriber. So you've got that. And then if you're on X, it is the most recent subscriber post, which you should be able to find as well. The number starts with a 405, and it is available to the subscribers there. If you guys want to dial in, the line is open. I did come prepared to prep your minds with a couple of things. And somebody over in our Locals chat was complaining about a Canadian hockey game, I think. Or maybe they were just complaining about a hockey game in general. And then somebody said something nasty about Canada. So allow this. I had this queued up earlier today. It's sort of like the silliness that is Canada. This is a clip of somebody who was trying to make fun of the way the Canadians are trying to argue. They don't like the fact that the United States is going to add tariffs to a bunch of different products, even though they've had tariffs on a lot of our products for years and really crazy high products for things like dairy and meat and so on. So it came to the attention of the folks over at South Park who don't seem to have a lot of love for Canada. Perhaps the Canadians don't understand how money works. And they create a little clip that I'm going to share with you, kind of prod your brains, see if you guys are pissy about Canadians today. If you want to talk about some of the other stuff, we have an FBI senior executive getting walked out to bagpipes. I got that for a little bit of outrage here. Enjoy the Canadian negotiation team going to the Japanese consortium looking for more money.
What exactly does Canada want?
We want more money. Yeah, more money.
More money from where?
Just more money, you know. Canada doesn't get enough money. Other countries have lots of money. We want some of that money. How about the internet? The internet makes lots of money, so give us some of that money. Yeah, give us internet money.
Mr. Bootman, you seem to not understand how global economics works. I think
Don't give me that fat cat fancy lip wiggling. Are you going to give Canada more money or not?
What exactly does Canada...
Yeah, that was the wrong button. Are we going to give Canada more money or not? What's going on here? Why is it called Gay North Dakota? Why do we got to go after North Dakota like that? I think Snow Mexico is still the best. Phone line is open if you guys want to dial in. Again, this is the reason we do this. I've got a couple of other little long form things. I did want to kick us off kind of like with a musical number. Sometimes we play a little bit of blues. Sometimes we play some jazz. This one's kind of been in my head, and I got a little complaint first thing in the morning from Steve Friend. He was not thrilled that I threw this into his brain as he went for his jog. I think he listens to the program sometimes when he's going for a run. And so now I'm going to give it back to you. We didn't play the entirety of it last time, so it's kind of been sticking with me. I'm going to start with this while we wait for the phone.
Good morning. I'm here to give you an update on the FBI's investigation of Secretary Clinton. What I want to do is tell you what we're recommending. But first, let me tell you what we found. 110 emails in 52 email chains have been determined to contain classified information.
What difference at this point does it make?
8 of those chains are top secret, 36 of those chains secret, and 8 contain confidential information.
What difference at this point does it make?
Everything I did was permitted. There was no law, no regulation.
Secretary Clinton should have known that an unclassified system was no place for that conversation.
I did not email any classified material to anyone on my email.
None of these emails should have been on any kind of unclassified system, not even Gmail.
Well, first of all, nothing was marked classified.
To the contrary,
Nothing was marked classified.
there is evidence Tremendous amount. Tremendous amount.
Classified.
Now let me tell you what we found.
Oh my gosh.
110 emails.
It was not the best choice.
52 email chains.
It was a mistake.
Have been determined to contain classified information.
What difference at this point does it make?
8 of those chains were top secret.
Was it the best choice?
6 of those chains
I said it was a mistake.
and 8 contained confidential information.
What difference at this point does it make?
With respect to our recommendation, this is going to be an unusual statement in at least a couple of ways. Although there is evidence, our judgment is that no reasonable prosecutor would bring such a case. I know there will be intense public debate. I know there will be intense public debate. I know there will be intense public debate. What difference at this point does it make? 110 emails.
It wasn't the best choice.
52 email chains.
I made a mistake.
Have been determined to contain classified information.
What difference at this point does it make?
8 of those chains were top
It was not a good choice.
6 of those chains
I said it was a mistake.
and 8 contained confidential information.
What difference at this point does it make?
That's what my brain sounds like, if you're curious. For some reason, it defaulted to silence unknown callers. So you guys, the line is actually now open, even though I said it previously. I mean it this time. Yeah. A couple other things I had kicking. This thing apparently went viral, and I didn't mean it to. I just kind of threw it out together. This morning after we did our podcast, I grabbed the Jasmine Crockett original interview, which I thought was interesting, and I just threw a little mashup, a little side by side against some of this like hood rat stuff that she does. I got commentary on this, and we're gonna discuss it maybe after the first caller gets in, who's jumping on the line right now. We'll talk about the Jasmine Crockett thing in just a second. First caller, you are on the line. Who am I talking to?
Hi, Kyle. It's Tracy from Iowa. How are you?
Hello, Tracy from Iowa. I'm great. How are you?
I'm okay, thank you. Hey, I know I'm a little off topic, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that's been going on in Iowa this week, if that's all right.
Send it. Let's do it.
So there have been a couple of bills introduced in our legislature. One is to outlaw mRNA shots, and then the other one was to prevent pharmaceutical companies from putting out vaccines without giving up their liability protections, which is kind of interesting. And so the first one, the mRNA shot, now I'll tell you what I said in the meeting in a little bit, but there were 2 doctors that were there, and one got up there. Now I was, pretty low key, but this doctor, he shows up in his little white lab coat and stuff, and he starts off his little spiel with, "I can't believe I've had to take time off from my practice to come here."
Oh my God. I'm so sorry that he was inconvenienced. Did you apologize to him?
I know. No, I did not. And then the next doctor, he was such a pompous ass. And all I kept thinking is, if I were ever your patient, I would have fired your ass the first day. He was such a dick. Just like, are you serious?
Now
You're
can't
gonna act like this?
You're never going to win them over by doing that. But what I have found is that you can low key just call them hero, and you'll know.
Oh, okay.
You're like,
excellent.
You're like, listen,
So
hero.
when I got a chance to speak, I said to them, I talked about a bunch of stuff. I said, but until the medical profession is prepared to treat the ones that are vaccine injured and not just gaslight us and tell us it's all in our head, until you're ready to do that, don't introduce the vaccine to begin with. I said, none of us deserve to be treated like Fauci lab beagles.
Well, how did that go over?
I don't think anybody noticed, but I was proud of myself for that.
No, so this is not off topic. That is the topic. The topic is whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind. So that's what we're here to talk about.
Excellent.
Do these bills have legs, or are they just are they performative?
They actually both have legs at the moment. They're passed through a subcommittee, so now they've got to go to a full committee before they go to the floor. But so far, it looked pretty positive. The second one, they didn't take any Zoom comments, so I didn't get a chance to speak a second time. But that was about the liability aspect and how yeah, all these places have liability protections. It was so sad to see all these medical students from the university. I'm assuming the students of the doctor that had testified the day before, but all of them spouting off how, oh, vaccines are safe and effective and they're the best way and blah, blah, blah. And I wanted to vomit.
You
Every
could have.
time one of them said that.
You could vomit. That'd be kind of
No.
like a
Oh, I
Goonies
could've.
move, wouldn't it?
Probably.
Yeah,
So
or like
I just
fake a
could
vomit.
not believe. I'm sorry, say it again?
I said you could fake vomit too. You could just make the
I
hurling
could
sound.
fake vomit.
Mm-hmm.
I could absolutely do that. So, but we'll see what happens with these bills. But I'm I'm very excited about these. Now, the mRNA, they're not like outlawing the shot. They're just going to charge the doctor with a misdemeanor if they inject it into anybody.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I was curious how that would go about, because if it's
Yeah.
considered standard medical practice, it'd be hard to do. What about the liability thing? So they're shielded from federal liability. This would just make them liable at the
Yeah.
state level for state level civil charges?
Basically, because, well, here's the deal. There's a couple programs. There's VICAP, which is vaccine injury.
Sure.
It gave out $202 million last year to vaccine injured, but COVID vaccine is not included in that. So if you have a COVID injury, you cannot even apply for money. And so, you know, there's all these people, and actually I volunteer with React 19, and I help out with support groups. And there are people right now that are about to lose their house because they haven't been able to work.
Sure.
They're being denied disability, and there's nothing left for them. There's a woman in New York. She is about to lose her house because she has a tax bill she can't pay.
That's terrible.
She's going to lose her. Yes, it really is. But we're being denied disability. Now I can still work, but we're being denied disability claims right and left. We can't get VICAP. We can't sue the pharmaceutical company. What's left?
Yeah,
Welfare and food stamps. That's about it.
That's not good.
And so they did start to talk a little bit about how maybe they need some kind of fund here in Iowa to help the vaccine injured. I'm lucky I have a job that I can still do, even though I can't stand or walk very far anymore.
I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you what kind of symptoms you had. How did that diagnosis come about, if you don't mind sharing a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. I had to get I didn't have to. I got the vaccine set because I had a trip coming up overseas, and the CDC was still requiring the vaccine to go on a plane.
Yep.
And so I sat down for it, and literally 5 minutes after my second dose, I felt like my legs were going to collapse underneath me. They stopped working right then and there. They have not worked since. That's been 3+ years now. So it affects my left side more than my right. So my left leg, my left arm, I can't lift anything with my left arm at all. If it has any weight to it, I'm worthless.
Do we think that this? Do they think it was brain affected, or do they think that it was some sort of neural completely on one side? How did that work?
It's definitely a neurological type of thing. The vaccine does break the blood-brain barrier, so yeah. And so I was heading to the gym right after my doctor's appointment, and I had COVID, and I was very sick from COVID as well before I got the shot. But I went to the gym after the doctor's appointment, and I had worked myself back up to swimming a mile, biking at least 45 minutes. I was working on getting to the 90 minutes that I usually did, and I started at least walking instead of running. I was up to walking about a mile and a half. I could not make a 1/12 of a mile before my legs just wouldn't move anymore.
That's horrible.
And I felt like I was, I always feel like I'm waist deep in mud. And the pain, I'm in pain daily. It sucks. I've at least not had, I've weaned off of taking a lot of ibuprofen, but there's no treatment at all.
Yeah. That's the question. What would they even do? Is there any is anybody even exploring this, as far as you know, looking into to try to fix this existing problem?
Yeah, my doctor at the time that gave me the shot, she could not even say the words vaccine injury. All she could offer to me was physical therapy, which I can't stand, and I'm not sure what physical therapy is going to do for me. But I fired her, obviously, and found a new doctor, and she immediately put me on ivermectin and something else, which actually helped quite a bit. I can walk a little further than I was able to. I can stand a little longer. But any kind of distance that I have to travel, I have to either use a cane or I have a knee scooter to scoot along. At least I can roll a little further than walk. But I do have a new doctor that she's trying to pay attention to it. She got fired during COVID. She was a doctor in an ICU in St. Louis. And she actually got fired for trying to give a patient who was dying ivermectin. So she opened her own like concierge type of medical business.
Sure.
So I signed on with her, and the first thing, I was on ivermectin for probably about 3 months, which really helped, but I'm never going to be the same, but it really helped quite a bit. I can actually, make it from my bedroom to the bathroom without falling over or anything. And it's only literally 12 steps between the two. But so there are some that are trying. There's a spike detox thing. I've been on that for a while. That hasn't really done much for me, but
yeah. What spike detox one are you using?
You gotta find them.
What have you been using for spike detox, out of curiosity?
The nattokinase, curcumin, and bromelain.
And where do you source that?
Oh, you can get that from Amazon.
You're doing it from Amazon. Okay.
Yeah. The one that's sold by the sponsor, the TWC, I can't think of the name.
Wellness company.
Yes. It has dandelion in it, and it took years, but I have finally figured out I'm definitely allergic to dandelion when I consume it.
Yeah, that's no good. I actually have a dandelion concoction sitting in this mug right now, and I drink it all the time, so I don't have that problem. But
okay.
But yeah, so it's funny.
I
Go ahead.
I picked dandelions one day and I threw it in water to make dandelion tea.
Oops.
And oh my God, that night I was so sick and I was like, did I poison myself? I know I didn't spray anything. Did I not pick a dandelion? Is that something? Wow. I don't know what it was, but I finally figured out that I'm like really allergic to
Yeah, that's a crappy way to find out about that.
Really sick. Yes, it is, because it was painful. It made me so sick. For every night I was sick from it. And I'm like, what is going on? Finally pieced that together. It took a while, but finally pieced that together. So I can't use the wellness company one. So I generally have to source it out of Amazon. So
you know what? We have a deal. They send me over, different scripts of what they're trying to promote at the time. And my deal is that I don't promote anything that I won't use myself, and I don't use any supplements. So I just told them like all your supplement scripts are garbage. The medical kit, I'm 100% in favor of, and I've spent a lot of time and hours, and I've administered those, and I know a lot about the medicines, and I can get behind that all day long. I think they're a great buy. I think they're a smart buy for a lot of people if they want to, control their own healthcare. But when it comes to supplements, spike detox, and other stuff like that, or mushrooms or other shit that I'm just like, I know people that swear by it, and that's cool. I have friends that swear by all kinds of supplements. I just don't. So I have a real simple thing.
For them.
You've got an amazingly sunny disposition for someone who just laid out a kind of a pretty awful story. What keeps you so positive? It's not drinking dandelion tea. I know that much.
No, definitely not. It could be so much worse. There's still things in life that I can experience that give me a little happiness. Like I have a trip planned on a cruise to the Antarctic in December. And I've been planning this trip for like 2 years. I'll have to take my knee scooter and I'll have to take a cane and stuff, but I can still experience stuff. I can still, sometimes travel. I can still drive and I can still work. If I were completely bedridden, I probably would not be very happy at all.
You know what? That
I
is
were even still here at this point.
that is a very glass half full attitude, and I can appreciate that. You know, when things are bad, you can still see good things out there and find them. I think that's special. A lot of people go the other way and they just get mopey and miserable to be around, and they make it even worse for themselves. But I'm sure that just hearing your disposition, hearing the way that you jumped on the phone, I'm sure people they want to see you be able to experience good things, which is nice. It's, you know, it's people end up manifesting a lot of the treatment that they think that they're not. They think it's somebody else that's bringing it to them. It's like, no, you are what you tolerate, and you are whatever you throw out, you end up getting it back. I had a buddy that used to tell me, you can only be angry. Nobody can make you angry. You have to give your permission. Right. You know? And same thing with this. I mean, it sounds like you got dealt a pretty bad hand, and it's tough, but at the same time, you got two choices, right? You can press on and find good things, or you could just mope on it and
lay down and give up.
Yeah, you could be like Al Green and shake your cane, even though he doesn't seem to need a cane that day.
My cane, let me tell you, everybody loves my cane. It's bedazzled. It's like jewel.
Of course. It sounds like it suits you. Just from listening to you talk, that sounds like it suits you. So I'm behind it.
I told people as long as I was going to have to do it, I was going to make it worth my time. You know, Kyle, someday can you get like a P.O. box? I'd love to send you the book I wrote about my whole experience.
Yes,
but I know you can't
I'm
give
going
out your
to.
address,
I'm going to give out a
it.
P.O. box in the next 30 days. It is the thing that I want to do when we move in. I wasn't sure we were going to be like. Here's the funny thing. So I thought we were moving to Montana. That was in my heart. That's what I planned. God doesn't listen to me apparently on that one. I don't get to make that plan. So I thought we were going to be in this house for a year, and I was like, okay, then we'll move on and we'll go buy a house somewhere. And then that didn't seem to be very feasible, and so we kind of stayed for another year, kind of accidentally. We actually had a lease for a year. Yeah. Then we did a 3-month extension. And then I think we wanted to do, then we did another 3 months extension. And then we said, let's just sign for the rest of the year. So we ended up doing, I think 4 leases to get to a 2-year stay. And,
oh my goodness.
And then we looked around in this house that we're in right now, and all the houses, first of all, it wasn't built very well. And all of the houses in our neighborhood, there are 5 exact houses that I'm living in, 5 of the same floor plans are available for cheaper than what we're paying right now.
Yeah.
And I went, you know what? I'm not doing that. So we went out and found another house. We were looking in Montana, and I thought, shoot, I could triple my cost of housing, or I can spend about the same amount of money and move across town and live next to a pool and a gym and have a cul-de-sac and have my kids have some little space backyard. We're actually moving into a nice spot where behind us is going to be 250 undeveloped acres, which is pretty cool. And then there's a right on a cul-de-sac for the kids to be able to do some bike riding. And I got 3 that are ready to be on bikes now, 2 that are on, 1 that's about to be. So anyway, we're making a local move, but I would have committed to a P.O. box earlier because people have wanted to send me things like honey. I know Lemon wanted to send me honey, and that would have been really cool. The only person who had managed to talk me out of my address was Mr. Roush, who sent me a wild fire pit, and he sent it from his business address. I don't know what made me send my address over to him to send that, but he did send me this like huge hunk of steel, and now I burn stuff in it all the time. So, but I will get a P.O. box, and I'd be happy to look through and take a peek at the book. And I think that you should probably post a picture of your bedazzled cane over on the local side so people can see what this is. Because once you say it,
totally will.
Okay. I'm sure that the chat there will be ready to receive it. You can either throw it in the chat or you can throw it as a comment underneath it, and I'll take a look too when it pops up. I might even be able to throw it on the show. That might be kind of fun to show. So I've got some stuff to talk about for vaccines. So if you hang tight, I'm going to play a little video if you like, and I'll have you just kind of watch it. You can respond to the folks in the chat there, but I will give you a little interesting thing about the measles. I've been digging into this a lot. I've been very interested in the measles messaging campaign. And you probably saw, did you see our little piece that, that the unlisted episode now of the Brady Bunch, right? That's the thing that went and made its rounds. Yeah. There's an interesting little piece from Tucker Carlson. He had an epidemiologist on the other day, or a public health official. And so I'm going to play this little clip from him. And I find it fascinating that so many of the things we've attributed to vaccines as being the solution may have just as likely been solved before the vaccine ever showed up.
Exactly.
And the numbers back this up when it comes to sanitation and hygiene and all kinds of other sort of public health interests, clean water and better nutrition and things like that. A lot of these things were already solved by the time they came up with the idea to solve this, with a vaccine of some kind.
Totally agree.
I bet you know a lot more about this because it's probably front and center in your life, much more than it is in mine. But it is a curiosity of mine. It's certainly in the last week or two I've been finding all these little clips of stuff that I found quite fascinating. So I will share that, and I appreciate you buzzing in. Anything else in that you want to leave? Parting shots?
I am not a lab beagle.
Yes, no, you were not a lab beagle. We can all get behind that.
We'll talk soon, Kyle.
All right, Tracy, thanks for calling in.
All right, bye.
All right, have a good one. Okay, as promised, I actually do want to play this clip because I saw it. I've been meaning to play it on a couple of different podcasts, and they've never really fit in. So since we brought up vaccines, we're going to talk about that real quick. Let's play this thing. This comes from the Tucker Carlson interview. Sit down, and underneath it, you're going to see a graph that shows you the decline in measles mortality from 1900 to 1963, just before the advent of the actual vaccine that came in. And here's a guy making an argument that it might not have even been the vaccine that knocked this thing down, mostly because it was knocked down before the vaccine ever showed up. So watch that, and I'll wait for another call.
Public health authorities should take credit for the decline in measles deaths in America. They should. But they should take credit in the following way. Between the year 1900, this is all on the CDC website, what I'm about to tell you, and the year 1960, 61, 62, the years before the first measles vaccine in America, 1963, the mortality rate for measles declined by over 98%. Yes, by over 98%. That is, you can just go pull up the mortality data on the CDC website. This is uncontroversial. It's just data, what I just said. Some people get emotional about it, but it's just data, what I just said.
Why would they get emotional?
Well, for the reasons we just discussed. That decline had nothing to do with vaccines. You know how I know? There was no measles vaccine. That's how I know.
What caused that decline?
I think that in part it's the public health health authorities should take a lot of credit for that.
Nutrition, sanitation.
Better sanitation, clean water, getting sewage running out of the streets. Right. All of these things, initiatives to make sure that there's natural light. Like, remember all the tenement buildings?
Yes.
All these initiatives, even basic things like quarantine. Oh, if you're sick, not the kind of forced kind of stay at home stuff that we're talking about. Just if you're sick, hey, maybe you should stay at home in bed kind of stuff. And so that decline, over 98%. You know how many people died in the few years, on average a year before there was the first measles vaccine in 1963, when pockets of this country were still like the developed world? Around 400 Americans a year died. That's 1 in 500,000 Americans died of measles in the years before they were vaccinated. Every death's a tragedy. And measles can still kill people just like any virus can in parts of the world that are really underdeveloped. Any virus can kill children, adults. And there were still pockets of America in the early 60s that were like that. But that declining rate of mortality, it was a trajectory that was ongoing, even when the measles vaccine was introduced in 63. So those 400 deaths, which have now gone down, how much of that is attributable to measles vaccine? How much of it is to the continued efforts of public health agencies, right? That could be debated forever. We don't need to. But the important point is this. Long way to answer your question is this. When you listen to public health authorities today, they will say to you, measles is what caused the decline. Measles vaccine is what caused the decline in mortality. They never talk about those other things that they did.
It's a pretty compelling argument. If the mortality rate was already down to almost nothing, I find it fascinating. I think that kind of stuff's interesting. Credit to the Vigilant Fox, who puts out a lot of really, really good mashups, including showing that graph, which was not part of the original Tucker Carlson presentation. So if you guys want to check in, you should be following that account. If you have an X account, you should do that for sure. If you're over on X, like I see some of you are, then make sure you're following the Vigilant Fox, one of the great sort of sources of information on a bunch of stuff, but a lot kind of dug in on news stories that don't get covered, or kind of alternative news that still has a lot of veracity behind it. So that's pretty neat. Let's see. I had something else for you too. Some of you guys were trying to say something, like you guys were trying to figure out what my name was or somebody's name was.
What's your name?
Oh, that guy.
What is your name?
Tony!
Fuck you, Tony!
What's your name?
Ezekiel!
Fuck you, Ezekiel!
Fuck you!
Fuck you!
Hey, you know what I did last night?
You better not bring my mother into this!
You
Better not do it.
You better not!
Why is he going to do it?
Put that fly over there!
Oh!
And I fucked your mother next to it!
Fuck you, Ezekiel!
Fuck you!
Fuck you!
Back by popular demand. You guys are a bunch of weirdos. For some reason, that really gets you guys going. Okay, let's do one good turn deserves another. I got the mashup that we made. This was a semi-viral. Like I think, let me see what the numbers look like right now because I'm watching the phone here. But at the same time, let's see how many views we've had on this silly Jasmine Crockett video. Looks like 710,000 views today. This took me just a few minutes to slam together. People love seeing side by sides, and I do think it does actually get telling. I'm going to give you a perspective on this that many of you, I've seen tons of comments, so I do read the comments that you folks post over on X and other places, and the comment is like, this is code switching. I'm going to tell you why I think that's actually not it. So let me throw you this little video chunk here. Where's the chunk? Hold on. That's the chat. Where's Jasmine? There's Jasmine.
Absolutely. First of all, it's good to see you in the new year. You know, no one could have told me that when I went down to Austin, now looks like a little bit over a year ago, that I would be running for Congress. It's just not what my plan was. But what I've always decided is that I would step up when there was a need. Listen, he up there, he's spewing all kinds of nonsense and bullshit. Let me just be real. And we weren't gonna sit for that shit. We wouldn't, you know. But when she called me and said, I think it's time for me to retire, and you're the one that I believe should take my seat, I really was kind of caught off guard. I didn't anticipate that. If anyone knows anything about the Congresswoman, they know. We showed up, and if he had some sense, then maybe we would have been about that life. But y'all know he ain't got no sense. So please give some love. This took a little bit of coordinating to do, for sure. We got some cool shirts.
Okay, and it goes on. You guys can listen, but that's the back and forth, right? Okay, so here's the deal. There's this concept that I'd never heard until recently, and it's apparently people who have an ethnic background of any kind. They claim that there's this concept that they switch the code, that they speak one way around some types of people, and they speak a different way when they go somewhere else. Here's the problem. She spoke educated, articulate, respectfully. She was conveying intelligence and capabilities, right? That's why she was elected, in theory. She was smart. She was well-spoken. She came from, by the way, apparently like a $30,000, $35,000 a year high school, which is quite a bit of money. And then apparently a $55,000 or more a year private college. So she's not educated in some sort of like slum. She went to expensive schools. She had a good education. So she's not some sort of ghetto trash person, and she's not like, that's not her natural state, and then she has to put on airs. Code switching basically means there's a way that I talk around my family and my people, and then I go out into the world, and there's a certain things expected of me, so I alter it in order to be accepted, and then I go back home, and I can switch it back up, and I can still be Jenny from the block, or whatever the hell you were going to claim. And there's plenty of people that have very humble beginnings. If they went out and they spoke in some fancy way, or if they spoke the way that I'm speaking right now, that would be not accepted in their natural condition, or wherever their family members are, whatever the hell you're going to say. So, okay, I get that. Her upbringing was privileged. So she's trying to pretend that she's something she's not in the place where you send people that are intelligent enough to go do that thing. You'd want to send your congressperson so they know how to speak like a congressperson, so that when they speak to a Rand Paul or they speak to a Jim Jordan, that they're not out of their element. So this code switching idea is bullshit. It's totally upside down. It's backwards. That's my take on it. I got another vaccine thing. You'll listen to yet another guy. This is Senator Cassidy. Not a dummy either. You know, well-spoken. We don't agree with what he has to say. Fact of the matter is people get elected because they are presenting a capability. Nobody wants to elect a congressperson that is as dumb or dumber than they are. That's not reasonable. Nobody wants an elected official who can't represent them better than they can represent themselves. That's why I don't buy the code switching argument. It doesn't make any bit of sense. Right. And that's why this dollar store Cardi B act that she does is really, really nauseating to me. Phone line is still open, folks. It's available if you are so inclined. If you guys want to dial in, then make sure you do. It's the 405 number that is available to all of our subscribers. If you're over on YouTube and you want to subscribe on Locals, there's a link in the show notes. You can go to the description. You can click over to it. It'll allow you to come in. It's just kyleserafin.com if you want to be part of our regular call-in show. Otherwise, you just listen in. And the folks that are part of the paid subscribers, this is a benefit we do to them, so I can hear what's going on in people's minds. And you guys all get to listen in on it because that's how we do it. That's just how we do it. And I'm watching the Locals chat right now where you guys are showing. And Tracy's bedazzled cane is too much for me. but it sounds like it matches her personality, so that's good. Okay, I got a Bill Cassidy video I was going to show you. This is something that was too long for the podcast, but we will play that as well. This is the discussion about the measles vaccine. Again, a lot of these clips they didn't really make it into the podcast, but it's what I'm watching in the background.
Thank you, sir. I'll start with questionings. One thing that's been a real topic has been the issue of measles vaccines and autism. And we can see that the false article in Lancet decades ago has led to a lot of people not getting their child vaccinated. There's now a child who died from a vaccine-preventable disease in Texas. Let me repeat that, a child who died from a vaccine-preventable disease in Texas. The Secretary has put out an editorial, which is, if you just read it, the kind of understanding of it is that you should get vaccinated. I've been told that you have said that we need to invest NIH resources at looking at the link, a possible link between measles vaccine and autism. I've not heard that directly, it's hearsay. Any comment on that?
Senator, it's a tragedy that a child would die from a vaccine-preventable disease. I fully support children being vaccinated for diseases like measles that can be prevented with the vaccination efforts. As far as research on autism and vaccines, I don't generally believe that there is a link, and based on my reading of the literature. But what I have seen is that there's tremendous distrust in medicine and science coming out of the pandemic. And we do have, as you know, Senator, a sharp rise in autism rates in this country. And I don't know, and I don't think any scientist really knows the cause of it. So I would support an agenda of a broad scientific agenda based on data to get an answer to that.
But this has been fairly well, in fact, it's been exhaustively studied. And there's limited resources. And if we keep plowing over ground that has been plowed over, knowing you can never prove a negative, and since we don't know the cause, we'll still have a problem. We've got a responsibility with limited resources. How do we address those things that we don't know the cause for, or that can ameliorate those things that are related to this crisis of chronic disease? My state, by the way, is terribly affected by chronic disease, so I'm totally with you on that. But what I want to make sure is there's an appropriate use. So again, just going back to, did you have an idea or an agenda that would once more, by golly, once more, prove that measles vaccine is not associated with autism, neither the schedule, the vaccine, or anything else associated with it? Because my concern is the more we pretend like this is an issue, the more we will have children dying from vaccine-preventable diseases.
Yeah, as we covered on this program, there's not that many kids that die from this. This is a very, very rare thing. And so, yeah, is it terrifically sad for that to happen? Sure. You don't know what the comorbidities of the child were. You don't know the circumstances. You don't know the case when you see this stuff. So I'm not sold on it. It's just not a killer disease, and it hasn't been for a long time. And the numbers bear that out. If my memory serves, because I did it freshly the other day, it's like 2 in a million or 3 in a million are your odds. It's really, really low, shockingly low, actually, that you're even going to be hospitalized. It's quite low. So for whatever that's worth, it takes a lot of measles, and it's just not there anymore. And I think this clip we saw from Tucker Carlson and that interview kind of bared out, only because you're looking at CDC data. And you could see that by 1963, the numbers were incredibly low. So that's interesting. Let's see. I had something else queued up. Like I said, if you guys want to jump in, actually, you know what? I'll share with you. Speaking about doctors, talking about people that are not given to us straight. I see you guys in the chat saying you're tired of doctors lying about everything, all kinds of things. How about a doctor that didn't lie about things? He went and told the truth, and he had to go pay the cost for it. He was talking about transgender surgeries for children. And he's become a friend of mine. So I've got a little teaser of what's coming up for the Sunday special. For all of you that are subscribers on Locals, you'll be able to get that on Saturday. I've already got it cut. I spent the day today editing it together. I think it's a pretty good conversation with a really great guy. And I think this was his take about transgenderism in general. So I'll give you a little teaser.
Excuse me, ma'am. No porn at the bar.
Oh, it's okay. I'm transgender.
Oh, I had no idea. Do whatever you want all the time.
Sorry, that's not what he says about that. That's just what South Park has, or what Family Guy says about transgenderism. I'm just kidding here. All right, this is my buddy Dr. Atam Hine.
It's righteous indignation, where we should be righteously indignant. We should be angry, but it should be the type of anger where like you don't need to eat, you don't need to sleep, where like, you can walk through a burning building and you can't get burned because the inferno that is burning inside of your heart is so much hotter than any flames that are outside. Like the only way to make it through something like this is to be animated by this righteous indignation. It's not spite, it's not vengeance, it's justice, it's goodness, it's beauty, it's love.
If you're going to have a doctor, let it be someone like that, someone who's willing to go to jail, who said he was willing to die. And I believe him. A lot of people say I'm willing to die for what I'm just going to stand on, and you'll hear people say that and they don't mean it. I think Doc Heim means it. Having spoken to him plenty of times off the record, behind the scenes, we've discussed what his case was about. They went $2.2 million in the hole to be able to fight this cause. And when we were talking, one of the things you'll hear is that he said, I'll probably be paying it off on my deathbed, but I'd rather do that than deal with surrendering to an evil government. And I got a video of somebody who did surrender to an evil government. This is kind of one of the nastiest things. I didn't know they did this. New York City. Shame on you. Not only apparently do you have police detectives who are now dancing and shaking their asses on rap videos. Yes, there's an NYPD detective who's now going around. If you're not following Mr. Guns and Gear over on X, you should check that out too. Pretty eye-opening post. But this is Brian. It's James Dennehy. Brian's an actor, I think. James Dennehy was the ADIC. Yeah, that's what we call him. The assistant director in charge of the New York field office. And little insight onto him. Not only was he in charge of the field office, he used to be in charge of the Newark field office. And during his time in Newark, he struck up a friendship with Cory Booker. And with that friendship, he decided to try to derail Kash Patel's confirmation hearing by being a whistleblower, saying that Kash Patel had undue influence on the FBI prior to being sworn in as FBI director, which is bold. Anyway, it resulted in him getting thrown out. He was out there working against the director. He also said that he was going to dig in and create a foxhole, and they weren't going to give any files over to DOJ, even though DOJ is the executive agency that runs the FBI, whether anyone likes it or not. And so he was walked out, and interestingly enough, I've never seen this before, but somebody tipped off the main media. So MSNBC had a camera crew ready to record the exit of James Dennehy, and it sounds like he orchestrated a bagpipe display. And so Nicole Wallace, who is a sycophant for all things that are, bureaucratic and deep state, decided to do commentary on this. This is pretty freaking gross. I don't know any other way to say it. Here you go. This is him leaving the building for the last time, leaving the FBI. Just gnarly.
An extraordinary scene outside of the New York FBI office in the last hour. Assistant Director in Charge, James Dennehy, who was forced to resign under pressure this week, left the building to cheers from hundreds of his colleagues and the sound of bagpipes. He was forced out after clashing with Donald Trump's Justice Department after the removal of senior FBI leaders and requests for the names of agents who worked on the January 6 cases. He told those gathered that he will be their, quote, best cheerleader on the outside. We'll be watching for that. Another break for us. We'll be right back.
Just so weird. I've never heard of the bagpipes. I've certainly never heard of like a PD coming and marching it out. It doesn't make any sense. It's not like these people they're so masturbatorial in their self-love. It's public displays of affection for themselves is disgusting. We used to always say, make sure, you find yourself somebody that loves you the way that the FBI executives love themselves. It's crazy. And that's part of the culture. For whatever it's worth. That is the way that the FBI culture works. It's got to be rooted out. I don't know if it's getting done. I fear that they're too slow on it, just between us. I really do. Dan Bongino can't get there soon enough to try to add a little bit of oomph to it. It doesn't seem like Patel's getting the traction that he ought to. This is the thing that we worried about. One of the things that we knew would happen is that you would get you'd get the FBI to do the thing the FBI does, which is that it takes care of itself. It envelops the director in this bubble wrap little, insulated space, and then it keeps him busy, and then they don't get to do the thing they thought they were going to do. So it's pretty awful. It's not good for America either, for whatever that's worth. Maybe that's why so many people are concerned about this stuff, why they see it and they get really kind of wound up. And I'm getting less optimistic as time goes on. This is a time-sensitive battle, so it really is. It is not. It's not a lighthearted thing. I'm seeing you guys over in the locals chat saying something about Dan and his new spot. They're going to put Vince Colonnese to replace Dan Bongino on the radio, and I think he's going to replace him on the podcast too. And for whatever it's worth, Vince Colonnese is an incredibly talented broadcaster. He's very, very good, and I like him as a person, and I used to listen to him when I was living in D.C., when I was working for the FBI. I used to drive into work and hear him on the mornings. He used to be Mornings on the Mall, WMAL. So he still does an afternoon drive program out there. It's a national level program, and he does an outstanding job. His producer, who I've been working with for the last 2 years or so, Corey, is going to go on and take another job somewhere else, and so I'm excited for him. It's pretty awesome. Like some really cool people that I've been able to meet inside the space. There's going to be some good people coming in to take over that. So for anybody that's a Bongino fan and you're worried you're not going to get something quality, yeah, you're going to get someone really great. I think Vince, I'm very happy for him. I wished him a congratulations. I hope it's a big step for him and that it's a positive change for him and his family. He's got a real good head on his shoulders, and he really gets how DC works, which is kind of what we are mostly focused on these days. Until we fix what's going on in DC, the rest of the country is going to be miles behind. So there's that. That's more or less what I had for today. If you guys didn't want to bug in, I don't mind it. I got other things I'm going to go try and do. I'm going to do some more moving. Like I said, I shared a little bit with Tracy. Tracy, thanks for jumping in and giving us a little bit of positivity and turning it towards the vaccine thing, which was unexpectedly perfect, because that's the clips that I actually had grabbed up there. And let me see here. You guys are saying that it's on voicemail again. Did it go to voicemail? No, it's not on voicemail. It's coming straight to us. You guys were just busy and didn't feel like calling in. We'll call it a night. We'll do it again. This is something we do on Thursday nights. So if you guys are new to our program, if you've just seen it for the first time, if you just started subscribing over on YouTube, appreciate it. This is, again, something we do just for our local subscribers. There's a couple hundred people over there that are subscribed in at this point, and it's just a little, a bonus. We give you a little bit early access to the interviews we do. There's a little bit behind the scenes stuff that goes on, and then this is the call-in program that people that want to go. Renzo, what are you saying? You got the voicemail. Do you guys have the right number? Am I screwing this up now? That'd be interesting. Let's see here. Let me make sure it's not me. That would be embarrassing. It doesn't look like it's me, though. Calls are not set to silent. They should all ring. And they're not going in. Oh, I wonder something. Yeah. Renzo, give me a call right now. Renzo's one of our favorites. We like to hear him laugh. Renzo has one of the, what do we call it? Like a pothead laugh. We can't help it. It's just his thing. And at this point, all right, so I've unmuted my other phone, and I'm wondering if muting the one phone is actually the thing that screwed it up. All right, all the phones are available now. There we go. That's disappointing if I did that. All right, who's on the line?
It's Renzo.
Renzo, my man. Hey, so was it going straight to voicemail?
Yeah, it was just going straight to voicemail.
Brutal. Okay, so here's the deal. I had 3 people call me on my personal phone, and so I muted that. And because Apple is Apple, it decided to mute all the phones, because why the hell would it not? Just can't make this stuff up. I'm out here muting you guys.
Yeah, well, they're trying to make life easier for you.
I guess, man. I was looking forward to hearing. Sometimes this is like the best thing for me, because what it does is it just like brightens my day. I'll have like something else going on, and I just get to be hanging out with other people that I don't talk to all the time. Some people wanted to know about the birds. You know about the birds, Renzo?
No, I know about the birds.
All right, hold on. Let me see if the birds want to talk to you real quick.
What's your name?
What?
What is your name?
Tony!
Fuck you, Tony!
What's your name?
Ezekiel!
Fuck you, Ezekiel!
There you
It
go.
makes me laugh every time.
It's so dumb.
It's like a James Comey thing, too. It's stuck in my head, but I'm like...
It's so bad. Yeah, it gets right in your head, right? It's so catchy.
It's like a worm.
It is a worm.
I remember seeing that like 5 or 6 years ago. Like, you know.
Yeah, the Comey thing goes back to.
And the worm started.
The Comey thing goes back to 2016. That thing's almost 10 years old, and it's a banger.
Yeah, it lasted that kind of time.
It has indeed. Yeah, it's still catchy. What's going on with you, my friend? What do you got going on?
So I was actually thinking, you kind of started, talking about before. How long do you think, do we say, all right, they're just getting, Bongino's just getting in, Cash is just getting in, before it's like too late? Like, people will have done what they needed to do in that period to shield themselves and will never be able to get rid of that.
Yeah, I'm concerned about that in a big way. And man, we laid out a battle plan, and there's no other way to describe it. And it needed to be fast. And it was like, on this day you do this, and on this day you do this, and on this day you do this. And I heard that some of the people that Cash is trying to bring in, he can't even get them on board yet, and that's not an option. If you're the director, it's like, okay, put this person on. If they tell you, well, we got to wait for are you saying no because you're about to be removed for insubordination? And, if you let the Bureau handle you, it will keep handling you. I guess they'll get another little shot at it when Dan shows up, because he's going to have a different attitude and different energy. And maybe that's another attempt to go in there and grab. You got to wrest this away. You got to pull this culture away from the people that think it's theirs. And they're not doing it. And so, yeah, it concerns me.
The deputy now is impeding us?
The deputy now is not... Yeah, I don't know who it is. I can't remember. It's one. I think it's the guy that was in there before. And yeah, he's there. All these guys were working under Paul Abate, and Paul Abate was the acting director, and he was putting his people into place so that they would do what he wanted. So the Bureau always protects the Bureau, and they're many layers deep. And the fact that they haven't already started cutting this stuff out like cancer, I don't know if they'll get to it now. And I don't mean to be pessimistic. I'm being transparent. That's what me and the guys talk about behind the scenes. It's like, good God, they really needed to listen to what we had to say, and it doesn't sound like they took the threat seriously enough. So I don't know. We'll see. Well, I'm hopeful. I want them to win.
They can yeah, we all want them to win. We don't want to have a Stasi force, in America for perpetuity. But I don't think, because of the way everything is structured, he can only do so much. Is there a way that maybe he could restructure things to maybe make it easier to separate, or make it hard for these resistance people?
Yeah, no, of course he could. It's it's really easy. Every single person that works for the FBI and the Senior Executive Service has a mobility agreement. That means that they serve at and where the director says. So everybody now works in Puerto Rico. Get the fuck out. Go to Puerto Rico. You have 90 days to get there. That's what I would do. That's what I told him to do. I said, send everybody, all of them, every damn one of them. The FBI will run itself without senior management. You don't need senior management. What happens is, the minute you get rid of the senior management, an acting somebody gets in. Acting is just, like the next guy down. So it automatically backfills. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's a bunch of actings anyway. So send everybody that's an SES, or send them somewhere else. Put them all, put them to Guam. I don't care. Get rid of them. Why not? That's what Hoover would have done.
Put them all in one place so you can watch them.
Yeah, send them to Guam, where you can keep an eye on them, and then try and capsize the island or whatever, and mess with Hank Johnson's idea, or send them all to Puerto Rico. There's a lot of crime in Puerto Rico. There's tons of crime. Go find the crime. We're going to send you where the crime is. We need you. We need you there. Needs of the Bureau. Let's go. And a lot of people won't move. They'll retire, and that would be a great step. And the ones that move, they can hang out in Puerto Rico and enjoy they can go retire there. Fuck you. Just get out. We don't want to send them. We don't want to send them to Alaska or Montana, because Alaska and Montana are nice. You don't want to send them somewhere that's great. You got to deal with them.
Oh, you could. Yeah, you send them to the desert, or
some people like the desert. The desert's a good place to retire. So yeah, you go to Puerto Rico. Nobody likes Puerto Rico, and if you like Puerto Rico, enjoy it. Congratulations.
I know. You need to tell my wife I keep trying to tell her I don't want to go to Puerto Rico.
No.
And she's like, let's vacation to Puerto Rico. I'm like, no, I don't want to go to Puerto Rico. I've been there.
One of my last partners was from Puerto Rico, and he's an FBI agent down there right now. He's a good guy. Can't tell directions though. Can't, like, if he would just go, subjects backing up, taillights on, rolling backwards. Okay, turning left, heading westbound on 7th Street. And I'd be like, yo, Luis, 7th Street is north-south. Which one is it? And he's like, north? I'm like, dude.
And north?
he didn't know if it was northeast, south, or west. He had no idea. He couldn't tell directions to save his life. But he told me one of the things they do in Puerto Rico is that after a certain hour, they just blow through all the stop signs and blow through all the red lights because they don't want to get mugged.
Oh, no, yeah. When especially like in the jungle, like the center of the island where it's like more jungle, yeah, you don't want to stop there. It's not a super safe place. Other places don't have power in the center of the island because the electric grid is like older than our electric grid.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they don't put any money into it. They steal the money because it's, a bunch of like lefties that don't actually do anything. And the funny thing is that they all vote or they all support Democratic candidates. That's what they think is the smart thing. But in reality, what they should be doing is doing everything they can to get rid of the Jones Act, because the Jones Act is why things are more expensive there. It'd be so much cheaper if they didn't have to deal with the Jones Act as a U.S. protectorate. But whatever. People don't know how to do, what makes sense for them. They're going to support unions.
Well, that's because they only do what their leaders tell them to do because they're like little sheep.
Yeah.
And they really are like that. Like, I think it is like super more tribal in Puerto Rico, from my perspective, from when I was there.
Yeah.
Than even worse than like in New York.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. And New Yorkers are pretty bad about it in the first place. So that's pretty awful.
Yes, we're pretty bad.
What are we gonna do with you all, right? I feel like I should play this. I won't play it on the podcast, but I feel like I should play this this New York City PD detective who's doing the twerking. What do you think?
I saw some of it on X. Yeah.
Is it too racy for what we're about here? Is it beyond our thing? What do you think?
I mean, yeah.
Are you mad at her or what?
We get away with it.
We can get away with it?
Everything in the city, it doesn't surprise me, I guess. I'm not like shocked. Like maybe 2 years ago, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm shocked by this. Now, like, I kind of expect it.
Now you're like, shocked, I tell you. Shocked. I'm totally shocked.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, especially with the hiring practices of the NYPD lately, and they're having the same in the military. The quality of candidates you get is what you get.
Yeah, well, if you're not going to back good people and you're going to only try to hire in certain people, then you're going to get this kind of stuff. Should we show it? You want to listen to it?
Yeah, go for it.
This is from your neck of the woods, right?
Yeah.
All right, this is Renzo's. This is Renzo's part of the world. This is what NYPD detectives do to raise a little bit of money on the side. Look, times are tough. Biden's economy was rough on people, so sometimes you got to shake your ass, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we set it up as much as we can. Here it goes, people.
About a girl named Keisha. Ass thick. Just want to smash it quick. Let's go. Shorty love the track, but she love the pole. Make that ass clap, make it drop and roll. Pop that pussy for me, give me that rocky roll. She screaming, Poppy go, I'm about to drop it low. Legs long, ass thick, just wanna smash.
There's no actual value to that. There's no commentary in there, is there? He's just describing describing a detective who's dancing on a stripper pole. Shoot.
I mean, really, like, if you just pick, you convey pretty much the message.
That's nasty, man. That's nasty. I don't know. That doesn't seem very talented to me. On either of their ends.
No, New York disaster. And, my mom, like, moved out of New York, like, 5 years ago to Texas, and she's much happier now.
Yeah, because you're paying extra for, like, not great service even. Look, now I finally hit the chat. I can see there's a delay over here. It's always funny to watch kind of the the chat start reacting to stuff. They're like, Lord help us. It's bad, man. Like, and let's just throw it this way. There was a man who didn't get that job. Can we agree?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
And there's a man that didn't want to apply for that job because he knew that person was his partner.
Yep. That's 100% the case. And there's an opportunity cost to all this stuff. That's the real cost for me to DEI stuff, is that people are just going to opt out. They're going to be like, oh, I can't even get in. I didn't even apply to a bunch of colleges back when I was in 1998, 1999. I didn't apply to a bunch of schools because I'm like, there's no way I can afford to get in there. I could get in, but I can't afford it. And the people who are going to go there are going to get these scholarships. I had a buddy who looked just like me. Like, he looked just like me, but he was 1/4 Puerto Rican, and he got a Hispanic something merit scholarship. And he was like, what? And he was like, yeah, man, I feel embarrassed about it. I was like, take the scholarship, but like, you're not Hispanic. There's nothing Hispanic about you, Rob. Your name is Robert. He went on to get a degree in conservatory music, man. He was a professional pianist. Was not Puerto Rican.
Well, that's what I tell my daughters as they're filling out their college applications. You're Hispanic.
That's
You're
it.
Hispanic. Hey,
dude, take it.
Putting down the rest of them.
Yeah. Or, I've started putting that on all my 4473s when I buy guns. I've been saying that I'm a Native American everywhere, which I believe is true, at least as much as Pocahontas is. So I just go with it.
Might as well.
Might as well, man.
Advantage of it if you can. I mean, did you see what happened in Britain? They want to pass a law now that says if you're a minority and you're a criminal, you have to do half the time of a white person.
Yeah, that checks. I did see that. I got another one too. That this was in California, which is even more stunning. There's a guy on the phone with a ambulance service, and he was getting billed for ambulance service, and he got a bill for like $630, right? And did you see this? I gotta go find it again. He got a bill for $630, and then they filed with the insurance company, and the insurance company covered $1,350. So they revoked the bill for $650 and sent him a bill for $1,350. And he called in and he was like, look, you sent me a bill. I sent it to my insurance. And then you sent me a bill for more money. What's going on? And they said, well, the $650 bill was a 75% discount based on you being uninsured. But since you have insurance covered half your bill. So now your bill is $1,350. And he's like, so it's cheaper if I don't have insurance. And the guy was like, well, you're just not qualified for the uninsured discount anymore. And he was like, wait a minute. So are you telling me that I should have canceled my insurance? What if I don't want to file with my insurance? And they're like, well, sir, you did have valid insurance, so you're not qualified for the discount. So it cost him twice as much for an ambulance ride because he was insured and he pays premiums every month. That's batshit crazy.
This is how the rules are set up for the businesses to make money off of. And this is why when we give money to the government, it's like giving money to the ultimate business that's just doing that with all these other sub businesses or the private companies.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you get slush funds. Slush fund here, fund there, slush. Like I want to. Like they keep talking about all these slush funds. I want to know about the slush fund with all the Congress people who are paying out sexual harassment. And then I want Mazie Hirono to ask them all, were you ever accused of sexual harassment or rape or any type of sexual assault?
I want her to ask if they knew that she used the potty all by herself. Where's that clip? How did I lose that clip? That was one of the greats.
I think I know where it is.
You're going to send it to me? Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, thanks for taking my call tonight, Kyle.
Thanks for fixing my problem. Look at this. Look, now we know that I can't silence one of my phones. I better just turn the damn thing off. Maybe I'll just put it in the Faraday bag like I normally do. For some reason, I was like, oh, I'll just mute it. I'll just mute it. And I didn't do the Faraday thing, and I blew it. I blew it today. So whoever didn't get in, it wasn't me trying to avoid you. Yeah, it was. I just wanted to avoid you. I only wanted to talk to Tracy and Renzo, so we did. That's who I talked to. That's who God expected me to talk to today. That's who I got to talk to. My life is better for it. How about that, brother?
That works out. Works out for me, at least.
All right. Thanks for dialing in. Everybody loves you laughing, so you brought everybody up. You did a good thing.
All right. Take care then, man.
All right, buddy. Have a good one.
What's your name?
What?
What is your name?
Tony!
Fuck you, Tony!
What's your name?
Ezekiel!
Fuck you, Ezekiel!
Fuck you!
Fuck you!
I don't know why I like it. All right. Sorry I blew it, guys. I did. I blew it. I didn't realize that we were muting the phone by muting one. This is the phone that you call in on. This is the phone that I muted. Go figure. Apple screwed us over. Or I screwed us over. I will look forward to talking to you guys next week. We'll be probably getting closer into the new studio. All right, we'll get
636
okay. I'll take one more. Who's calling in to get the last line in? Hello.
Hi, Kyle.
You're on the
Kyle.
line.
This is Joseph the trucker.
Joseph the trucker. How you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good. Are you going to give us an update? How you doing, brother?
Oh, I got nothing but bad news. Well, no, I should maybe that's a little bit overstated, but I do get to see my kids a little bit more often, thankfully. That is good news.
That is good news.
But yeah, I thought I'd call in. I want to tell everybody on the show that I went ahead and joined American Contingency, and want everybody to know that it's a really cool organization. It's really good to be tapped into a network of like-minded folks all over the country, and I think that they're just very good at providing training and networking. They have incredible communication networks. They have ham radio classes and networks within their organization that span the entire country. And they also do Zello. They have Zello networks for the various regions. I'm in the South region with you. Which includes, Texas and Missouri, Oklahoma, Kansas, Arkansas. And
you say a Zillow? It's a Zillow network?
Yeah, they have Zillow networks. It's like a radio app on your cell phone.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah, and you can use it just like a radio, and you can use your cell phone just like a radio. You just hold down on the icon when you speak, and you can broadcast to a bunch of people at once. Instead of having to do like a three-way call, you can do like a 100. You could talk to hundreds of people at a time.
Interesting.
Using a Zello.
And how do you spell it? How do you spell the app?
It's a ZELLO. Zulu Echo Lima.
Okay.
Oscar.
Like Jello, but Zello.
Yeah.
So, who owns that? Do you know? Do you know who runs it? I'm going to look it up here because I'm kind of curious. I used to use one that was called Wave that was run by Motorola.
I don't know who owns the app, but I do know that it's compatible with the unplugged privacy phone that I have. So that means it got the okay. So I don't think they're spying on us necessarily, robbing a lot of our data for nefarious purposes. So you can listen to what do you call it? any communications that you miss on the, you can actually listen to the history of it and read the text messages that are intertwined with the audio recordings. So you can go back. Transmissions. That's the word I was looking for. You can listen to all the missed transmissions.
Nice. So it's archiving them somewhere. Does it do it locally, or does it go on a server, you think? Let's go on a server.
I'm sure that, yeah, it's got to be a server. There's like a free version, and then there's a paid version of it. And I'm just on the free version. But I liked it so much that I got a buddy of mine to get on it with me, and we created our own team and our own channel to talk to each other on.
Yeah, I'm eyeballing some of their stuff. They charge $80 a month for the subscription basis. I'm sure that's pretty good, but that's pretty intense. That's not cheap. That's more expensive than most people's cell phone bill.
Yeah, but I think the free version is perfectly good and extremely useful for us. And I just can't stress the importance of communication enough to those who are preparedness minded, and they actually have a traveling board. I forget what they call it exactly, but you can let American Contingency know that you're traveling, where you're going to be stopping, where you're going to be fueling, where you're going to be spending the night.
Yeah.
And that way, if anything happens and there's a report that you've gone missing, they know where you've been last. They have an idea where you've been last and what area you've been traveling in, and they can help they could come assist you if you have road trouble. It's a pretty cool organization.
Yeah, that's really neat. I like that. So
I thought it'd be a little.
When I used to go out and go fishing out in the Gulf of America, which we didn't call it that at the time, but now we do. Back when I used to call it fishing, you could file something called a float plan, which would be roughly where you were going to go. And that way the Coast Guard kind of knew where your travel was going to be. So if you ended up not showing up, they had an idea where to start looking for you, kind of thing. Same kind of idea, but on ground. And for folks that don't know what American Contingency is, you want to describe it to them so they can get an idea? Because it actually is a cool idea. And I like Mike Glover, and I like that he set it up. And it actually showed up on the FBI's watch list, which is even crazier.
Yeah, I remember when that that came out in the news, and it just goes to show just how hostile they are to ordinary Americans.
Yeah, do you know who exposed that to the news?
I don't remember. Please tell.
It was this guy right here.
Okay, is you, Kyle?
Yeah.
Weren't you the one that exposed the Latin Mass?
Yep.
Church, yeah, big, yeah.
I got a lot of these. I got a lot of these under my belt. But the fact that they were going after the American Contingency was a document that we exposed that was called the Militia Violent Extremists Symbols Guide, and it identified the fact that AMCON, or what do they call it? AMCON? What's that? What's it called? AMCON was they refer to it as an online militia group with a low history of violence, which was really galling to me, knowing that Mike Glover started it. There's no violence. There's no allegations of violence at all.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm part of various groups. I'm part of the Washington Guard in Missouri, and I'm part of the Missouri Defense Force, and I'm also part of AMCON. And they're all different in different ways, but what the Washington Guard and the Missouri Defense Force have in common is that they're really just a volunteer force for the sheriff to enlist. They provide, both organizations provide all kinds of training regarding just preparedness and all that. And there are some more martial elements to the Washington Guard and the Missouri Defense Force, but what sets AMCON apart is that it has no martial aspects to it that I know of. It doesn't have to do patrol training. It doesn't do a whole lot. It doesn't do any tactical training that I know of. Maybe some basic self-defense for like a home invasion.
Sure.
It may provide, but that's what makes labeling the AMCON militia that much more absurd. Because they don't have any of those elements.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when they started setting it up, and I think they've got a locals contingent as well, and that's kind of how it launched with Glover's. You know, I listened to enough of his podcast to hear that at the time, and when I saw them writing that, it's like, what in the hell are we doing here? Just, how far has this organization fallen down? It just doesn't make any bit of sense, and it's really embarrassing. It should be embarrassing for people that were getting that were writing it. You know, those are all office dwellers writing that stuff.
Yeah, I wondered. Did you when you blew the whistle on AMCON being and Mike Glover being a terrorist organization, being labeled a terrorist organization? Did you know where the FBI got that inspiration? Would it come from the Southern Poverty Law Center or something like that?
Oh, no. We found out there's an entire thread on this stuff. It was all kind of exposed at the time, and we sent it over to Mike Glover as well. But essentially, some rogue intel analyst decided to just, like on a whim, decided to go and start researching Glover and got really excited about what he was about, and then decided that he was a threat to America, even though he was a retired Green Beret and former agency contractor and all the stuff that he did. And so he decided he was just going to write up a couple of different intel products identifying this. And they started pushing on the intel side. Then he cut some leads to FBI agents that were out in Utah to go and talk to Mike Glover. Let me give people some background because I'm seeing the chat doesn't necessarily follow this. So there's a guy named Mike Glover. He's a former Green Beret. He runs the Fieldcraft Survival podcast. He runs the Mike Force podcast. He owns the company Fieldcraft Survival that does a lot of survival products. And he founded this thing called American Contingency, was a way for Americans to network with their neighbors and find out, who's got what, who's got comms, who's got generators, who's got medical skills, blah, 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 and just be able to have like kind of an inventory in case things went wrong, mostly national disasters. But if something happened in civil unrest, then people knew how to talk to each other. And they had, protocols to be able to connect with their neighbors who were like-minded and wanted to be prepared. And all of that is to say the FBI's intel analyst, some random dude, one of 38,000 people, got a boner for Mike Glover and wrote up these intel products and then started sending leads, which is how you generate cases, sent them all over to agents who went out and did the investigation and basically said, this is bullshit. There's nothing here. And so they shut those down, but it didn't stop listing AMCON on this terrorist guide, which was a militia violent extremist guide. So falling under the domestic violent extremists, local domestic terrorism thing. And so, yeah, he got listed as sort of like adjacent to a domestic terrorist, even though there's no credible allegation that he did anything wrong ever. And he just got listed by this asshole, low-level intel person. It's really galling how much power that person was. Because after that, he got deplatformed. He got kicked off Shopify, so he couldn't sell. He lost a bunch of revenue. I know he lost a bunch of money. I'm sure it caused a ton of stress on his business because he was supporting a lot of people with it. And it's just messed up. So anyway, that was one of the reasons why I actually went public with that story. And it's one of the things that motivated me to get loud. In fact, the first person that I talked to after I finished the podcast with Dan Bongino out in September of 2022, the first person I reached out to and talked to was Mike Glover, and I asked if he had any advice. So I was very upset that they had done that because I didn't know Mike personally, but I have an idea of who he is as a human being from watching his podcast the same way you guys know about me, and I just knew it was wrong, and it just pissed me off. Pretty righteously pissed off on that.
Yeah. I mean, righteous anger is totally a good thing to have. Anyone who wants to pretend that they're righteous because they don't get angry over injustices is a phony, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I tend to agree. It's a natural human emotion. What you do with that anger is another animal, but feeling anger, that's pretty natural.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would like to encourage your listeners to look into American Contingency, AMCON.
Yeah.
I paid a little over $100 for a year's membership. And as someone who drives all over the country, I find it an incredibly valuable resource to be tapped into that network of such good people. And I want to really encourage women, most especially, to really get into ham radio and be a part of their network. Men, a lot of times, have to go out and away from home and do traveling, and women with families are often at a home base where a ham radio is. And it'd be very, very good for all women to, since they're naturally home more often, to be well trained in the use of communication devices.
Yeah, it's kind of I think it's an uphill battle, though. I'll tell you. So one of the issues is that you get the natural affinity for things is the things that you end up doing, right? And if you don't have a natural affinity for gear and certain types of technology, you're going to find like a lot of women aren't going to be interested in it, so they're not going to get good at it. So I get you. There's definitely a survival aspect to it. It's convincing people that there's a need and a want at the same time, and I think that's the uphill battle. That's why you don't see as many women in, concealed carry classes until either they've seen something really scary or something happened to one of their friends, and then suddenly they might go that route. So I don't disagree with you, though. Comms is critical. If you can't communicate, you're screwed. All my friends that are worried about prep, that's their biggest single concern. Everything else could be solved. You can find food, you can find water, you can find, shelter. If you can't link up with people, you're on your own.
Yeah, I just think it's so important, especially women with children, to be able to communicate when telecommunications are down, to be able to broadcast and communicate needs or emergencies so they can get assistance in a more timely manner than if they didn't have it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
So
yeah, like I said, it's one of those things that people don't realize how bad they need it right up until the point when they need it, and then sometimes it's a little bit too late for that lesson. But it's well received, and I think it's well sent. I think it's good advice.
Yeah, for me, as far as affinity, so there's something wrong with me. I'm technologically retarded, and I find technology to be incredibly boring. I have this weird proclivity to love manual labor, so machinery is not nearly as fascinating to me. And so I honestly wish that I could just get away with not having to delve into radios and drones and things like that. But knowing the importance of having those skills and how they can really save a life in a pinch is what's forcing me to get into radios. I don't have the technological proclivities to master that. I listened to countless hours of ham radio content on YouTube, and it doesn't stick. It does not stick in my brain.
Yeah.
But knowing just the sheer factor of knowing how important it is what keeps me driven to learn something.
Joseph, you got my wife sending me messages asking if we should get a ham radio now. So thanks for that.
You're welcome. Yeah, tell her she needs to get her ham license.
Yeah.
Or at least a GMRS license. I actually don't plan on getting a ham license myself. I just plan to get the GMRS, and I was going to get it last week of January, but work picked up so much, I just didn't take the time to get it. But I gotta get it done this month.
Yeah, I've got. I was going to get a drone pilot license too at some point. That was actually the last thing I was studying to go do when I was in the bureau. I figured they might as well pay for me to become a drone pilot in case we need to go find like a lost kid or something on an Indian reservation, and because there was an Indian reservation drone program that I could sign up for, and then I got derailed from my last job, so I've sort of been a little bit less paying attention. But I actually do have some radios, and I do have some I have some comms capabilities, and I got some buddies that are pretty deep into it, so. It's probably the right thing to do. Having a little base station, a little home station is not a bad idea. I want to be in the same place. I'd throw up a big antenna if I was living in a permanent place. Doing it in a rental house is a little bit less fun, but still feasible, I'm sure. Maybe I need to put some money into it this year.
Yeah, I think your wife would really be able to grasp the GMRS stuff. I think that there's less of a learning curve for GMRS, and the whole family can use the one license, which is nice, and it's good for 10 years. So, and they dropped the price. It used to be $70. Now it's like 30 something. So it's really a good deal, and it's not that hard to get your own repeater too. Yeah, there's more cost involved, but having a repeater would be something that for GMRS is something that I might aspire to if the repeaters in my area are not sufficient.
Yeah, I feel like there's a locals thread that needs to be put on this. You're gonna have a bunch of people asking questions about it after this. So maybe when you sit down and think about it, like 5 or 6 bullet points on the where to goes might be interesting to folks, because now people are all telling us in the chat here about their radio experience and where they're hiding their antennas and the whole thing. You tapped into a thread of a number of people. See, there's always a couple of them, and maybe you can create the thread, which is what is a GMRS for the technically retarded, which I think there's plenty of us that are, at least on this particular front, we're probably there. You know who I was going to tell you is a technological retard on every level is Steve Friend.
Oh, really?
Just hates it.
We could be. Well, we can be kindred spirits in that department.
100%. I don't think you're alone in that. He cracks me up. I'll tell him something and he just rolls his eyes at me and he was like, "Yeah, dude, I don't know." I'll be like, "Hey, you just got to open up." I said, "Open up the broadcasting software, dude." He's like, "Dude, you got to talk to me like I'm an 8-year-old because I don't care and I don't want to even know." I was like, "Put your wife on the phone." It's bad. We all got gifts. Sometimes we don't have that gift. He doesn't have that gift. He doesn't enjoy the manual labor, from what I can tell, the way that you said you do. I get into that. I got some blisters on my hands right now, and it's not slowing me down, but I burned the hell out of one of my fingers here. First time I've ever done it. You ever burned yourself on a coffee cup?
No, I haven't.
On the cup?
But I've gotten... Yeah, I don't drink coffee, so I don't handle hot cups very often.
You dodged that bullet. I used a ceramic mug, and I was heating up my coffee, and I put it in for like a minute and a half, and I took it out, and the coffee was like kind of hot, and the cup was like scalding, and it burned the hell out of my hand, and so I've got like a dime-sized blistered, cut and burn on my finger, and I was like, how in the hell did I burn the outside of my finger on a coffee cup when I went to go grab it? And like the coffee wasn't even that hot. It just, I feel like my microwave is not tuned right. I wouldn't know how to do it, but anyway, I'll still do manual labor. I'm still lifting boxes, and so I keep hitting the blister. You know, when you have one of those things like somewhere on your hand, and that's all you hit nonstop. That's what I keep doing.
Yep.
And I'm like, you know what? I'm too much of a hardhead to like do something about it, so I'm just gonna have to suck it up. It's my own mistake. I feel like it's God reminding me that pain is okay. It just keeps me alive.
Yeah, unfortunately, my hands are getting pretty soft being a trucker. I used to be able to swing an axe for hours on end.
Yeah, it goes away if you don't use it. That's one of those, if you don't use it, you lose it. I saw something, I'll tell you this. This has also kind of depressed me. One of my neighbors, who's a really good guy, reached out and he invited me to this workout program that was for men. And it's like a man's thing. It's early in the morning. It starts at like 5 a.m. or something like that. And I'm reading through like who we are and what we're about. And it says we meet and we often do these workouts in these parking lots, and we do it on concrete and this kind of stuff. We do running and whatever. And they said, you may want to wear gloves. Most guys wear gloves because we're doing push-ups and a lot of like calisthenics, like on concrete.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? Freaking gloves. I'm like, what are we doing? We're trying to keep our hands soft for our boyfriends here? I don't understand. Like, what's going on? This is not... You just suck it up. I spent a lot of time doing a lot of push-ups on concrete when I was in the military, and I never heard anybody say you needed gloves. There's a different generation out there right now.
Yeah, I've lost all my calluses now. I need to get them back.
Yeah, you might have to get some sandpaper and just start kind of rubbing those hands while you're driving. You could put a little sandpaper wrap on the wheel. Just get there and scratch them up a little bit. I don't know. I feel like men are supposed to have rougher hands, right?
Yeah, it's definitely handy.
I'm checking my hands just to see. I'm medium soft right now, so I'm probably in the same boat. I got to do something about it.
There was a point in the Navy that I wanted to be all hardcore and never use gloves.
Yeah.
But I kept gouging like little bits of flesh off my hands and fingers, just working down in the engine rooms, and then there'd be like rotten sea life everywhere, and salt water getting in the guts, and little gouges in my hands and fingers. Eventually, I just had to pussy up and wear gloves.
Well, I won't hold it against you, but yeah, at least you learn the hard way, the way men are supposed to. I think there's a hard-headed nature that I feel like is essential to being a regular guy. If you're immediately looking for the shortcut, I don't know what kind of guy you are. I want to be the guy that's always doing the dumbest thing, at least the first time. Where like I lean too far in the ladder, and I'm trying to see if I can shimmy the ladder while I'm in it instead of just climbing down and moving it a few feet. I'm gonna try to like jump it while I'm still up there. That kind of thing. The dumb stuff. It's relatable.
Yeah, if I began to talk about all the limitations and limits I pushed, somebody's going to send that recording to my mom, and she's going to freak out.
It's too late. You're already off in the world. You're doing your own thing. I had to remind my parents of that probably sometime in my 20s. I was like, hey, you had your shot. Okay. I've left the bow. I'm flying towards the target. We don't know where it's going to be. We don't know where I'm going to hit, but I'm airborne right now. So hold what you got. That's what you got.
For some reason, one time on my ship in Shaft Alley, we could only access that by a perfectly vertical ladder attached to the bulkhead. Mm-hmm. So you have to climb down this ladder, and it's over 30 feet, somewhere between 30 and 40 feet high or deep. And I would have to climb that ladder using one hand while I had a bucket of oily waste in the other hand, so I could go dump the oily waste in a different engine room.
Perfect.
And I just made trips up and down, up and down, up and down until I got all the oily waste out of the bilge.
And you're doing this like basically one-handed climbing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfectly done. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, and no contingency plan if something goes wrong, right?
Yeah, never thought of it.
Yeah, that's how you know that there's a youth involved, because as you get older, you start thinking about what happens if you screw up and how long it's going to take to heal from it, and it gets longer and longer as you get older. So that's pretty funny stuff. I like it.
Yeah,
that's relatable man stuff. And if men can't relate to that, then they got some work to do in front of them.
Yeah, taking the covers off the exhaust in the up aloft. I was supposed to have a harness on. I didn't tell anybody I was going to go up there. I knew it had to be done, so I just went up there without saying anything, got them down, and nobody knew who got it down.
Yep. Well, it's better to ask for forgiveness, right? My buddy actually did safety work when he was in the oil fields for a couple years, and he used to tell me that he really hated the safety guy when he was working on rigs. And then he got then he had to be the safety guy because it paid, you know, that was the promotion he got. So he sort of hated himself. And so I remember him calling me one time, and I was active duty at the time, and he calls me up and I go, "How you doing, man?" He goes, "I'm good, but I'm really conflicted." I said, "Why is that?" And he said, "Well, he said, I'm the safety guy." And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "But it's not my passion." I said, "Safety is not your passion?" He goes, "No." I said, "What's your passion?" And he said, "Danger." I said, "There's something wrong with you, dummy." I said, "Okay, but it pays the bill." And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I got to go and tell these guys to go do the thing that I don't want to do either. I have to tell them how to be safe, but I don't want to do I don't want to be safe either when I'm doing it because it's a pain in the ass." And I went, "Well, that seems like not a very good job for you to accept." He goes, "Yeah, I got to get a better job." That's probably the best safety guy to have, though, because he's probably the most chill guy about it.
Yeah, if he had hands-on experience working, I mean, the safety guys that have no experience doing what you're working, are the worst.
Agreed. Yeah, they're all book.
They have no understanding of what it takes to accomplish the job, and they have unrealistic expectations. And there's got to be a point. It's like, even like the job I have now, it's like the safety department. It's full of people who have no idea what it's like to drive a semi. So if something gets dinged, it's like always the driver's fault. Well, there's just some things that are outside of the driver's control.
That's right. No, it's the worst. There's no empathy there. They don't understand the task, so they can't understand how to ask somebody in a nice way.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have the one guy who's been driving for 17 years and never damaged anything, and he wants to make everybody look bad.
Who is this guy? Someone's got to go ding his vehicle. You let me know. I'll throw something out the back.
Yeah.
Some men need to be humbled, is what you're saying. I hear that. Some of us get humbled whether we like it or not, though. Isn't it true?
Yeah. For some reason, he's never had like a stop where there was a dock only meant for drive-in trailers for trucks.
Okay.
And they have doors that are about an inch or inch and a half thick. The doors on my trailer, on my reefer trailer, are about 4 inches thick. And I was at a stop this morning, and I backed into this dock, and for whatever reason, it was like one of a few docks that had these yellow pillars next to the dock, and apparently whoever put that pillar right next to the dock only left room for drive-in doors. So it was in just 1 inch too close, and I cannot discern that 1 inch from my mirror as I'm backing up. I got a 53-foot trailer. I'm another 7 feet forward in the truck in addition to that. So I'm 60 feet forward, and there's no way I can discern that 1 inch difference.
Nope.
And so
shocking. So you bumped it. So
yeah, it tore up the insulation a little bit on the corner of a door, and it was impossible to see because the doors they angle outward as they point forward when they're attached to the sides of the trailer. So seeing the far back end was impossible.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. Look.
So things like
I feel like there's a scientific rule about that. I think it's called shit happens, right?
Yeah, for whatever reason, safety doesn't understand that's not actually my fault. It's just I was perfectly squared with the dock. I had the trailer so perfectly aligned with the yellow lines that I only had an inch of yellow line sticking out past the tires on either side. So it can't be my fault. It's not like I was an inch too far over. I was perfectly squared with the dock. So I don't know
You need a danger guy. No more safety people. It's not going to happen though. Someone's got to get yelled at. Today was your day. It sounds like, huh?
Yeah, it's kind of like what I've said for years about engineers is that they need to have 5 years of experience working in whatever field they're designing equipment for, engineering equipment for. When it comes to safety departments, it should be a minimum of a certain number of years working in the field of whatever they are professing to be safety experts in.
Yeah, that being said, those people who have the expertise don't want to go be safety people because they like danger better. They're like my buddy. You have to offer them a lot more money than you do. They don't want to do that. They don't want to do it. That's probably that's probably universally true. Nobody wants to be the safety guy, except the person that you don't want to be the safety guy. What are you gonna do? Well,
yeah, for me, yeah, go ahead.
I'll say I'm about to wrap it all up here, but I'm glad we can universally agree on that. And actually, I do look forward if you want to put together a couple little pointers on what is it, the GMRS radio thing. If you want to throw that on the local side, I'd maybe make it an open post for anybody. I think that'd be a good thing. I'll send a link so people can kind of share it out there on social media as well. I think that'd be a good. You got me thinking about radios now again, which I haven't done in a little while. So thanks for that. And you got my wife texting me about it, which is even funnier.
Yeah, that's awesome that she listens to your show.
She does. I think she's just spying on me. What do you think? No, she said that's how she keeps up with what's going on. Otherwise, I have all this like experience with things that are going on, and then she doesn't get to share it. So then I have to go back and brief her. It's probably just as easy just to listen.
Yeah, I think she likes to learn from anybody she can, and there's a lot of people, interesting people that call in.
There are. There's some good folks in this little community we put together. It's pretty neat.
Yes, thank you very much for taking my call. I appreciate it, and I'll be sure to post perhaps some videos on GMRS on the locals channel.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I definitely will look forward to that. And I'm going to let Steve know that he's not the only person that self-admits to be technologically retarded sometimes. He's going to feel good about that in the morning.
Awesome.
All right, buddy.
Awesome. All right, have a good night.
Do the same. Have a good night. All right, folks. And let's call it a night because we're about to get cut off over on Locals. Locals only gives us 2 hours, and we're coming up on that ad there. So we're going to shut it down. I'll see you guys in the morning for the Friendly Friday. For all of you that want to join the program, you guys know how to do it next time. Join us over on either X and be a subscriber. You can join us on Locals. You can be a subscriber. I won't screw up the phone next time. That's like 2 in a row. I feel I screwed it up. So we'll figure it out. But thanks to Joseph for calling in. Thanks for Tracy. And thanks for Renzo, as usual, the regular Renzo. We should call it the regular Renzo. I think I'm going to come up with something. I might even get he might even get a banner since he likes to call in and just make me laugh each time. All right. Have a great night, folks. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Thanks for listening to The Kyle Seraphin Show, streamed live weekdays on rumble.com/Kyle Seraphin. Follow Kyle on Twitter, Truth Social, and Instagram at Kyle Seraphin.